Good afternoon, Tom No Wetner, the conversationalist. How's everybody on their Sunday? Like, subscribe, comment, share. However you get in touch with me, I don't care as long as you get in touch with me. What's going on, people? 2025. Not quite how I expected it to start. Seems like a lot of people with a lot of hostility, doesn't it? Shootings, nightclubs, bombings outside of hotels, uh, FBI agents ruling that uh, the thing is not terrorist 15 minutes into the evaluation. My God, she's either the smartest person in the world or doesn't understand the principles of basic public notice. Within 15 minutes of the incident happening, you show up on scene, you declare something, you're out of your mind. You don't even know the first thing. You have no facts. All you have is people running around the scene. How can you make a determination that it was or wasn't a terrorist? Where did this woman come from? I mean, God bless her. She must be some kind of expert, right? Because she's out there talking for the whole FBI. But it doesn't make sense to me. Why put her in charge? If she doesn't know the basics, why is she in charge? Why is she the field agent in charge? Somebody tell me this. They treat me like a 3-year-old. I need to be held by the hand right now. I'm not even a 5-year-old. It's a little scary. I'm here to tell you. There's fights breaking out in Walmart. I mean, literal fist fights because people are not getting what they want and they're having to settle for things. I was in Price Chopper today, and there was like one row of everything in the store. Normally, the shelves are packed tight with their inventory. Well, it didn't seem that way today. When I was shopping early this morning, it felt like they were kind of selling the store out and they were going to close it. So I actually said something to the deli manager, who's a friend of mine, because they had no roast beef in the whole place. They were roasting beef as I was talking to him this morning. And I said to him, "What's going on? Where's your stock?" He says, "Oh, we don't carry stock like we used to." I said, "What does that mean?" He says, "Too much money in inventory. We don't hold on to a large amount of inventory anymore because the cost of holding on to that inventory." And I said, "I've never heard of that. Usually, if you buy at a good price. And if it goes up, you don't buy it again. And if you're out of it, you're out of it. But you're telling me they're reducing the total amount of inventory that they're going to hold in the stores." And he says that it looks like it. He says, "I can't tell you for sure, but that's what it looks like. It looks like instead of having a week of items, we have less than a week." And it wasn't specific, but he just said they were cutting back on inventory. The only reason to cut back on inventory is one, if you're looking at a shutdown physically, shut the store down, or money is getting so tight that you can't afford to hold the inventory on in stock. Same thing as a restaurant. You know, if they got halibut on sale because it's a flood on the market, you buy it up. If shrimp is cheap, if I was going to say if beef was cheap, well, beef's never cheap. God forbid we should have a good beef under $20 a pound, right? Um, $5 eggs. Who would have thunk eggs would be at $5 a dozen? That's crazy. I go out and get warm eggs out of the coop, but I don't. It doesn't really affect me. But I see and hear all these people talking about 5 dozen, $5 a dozen. My God, stay eggs were the cheap thing, the protein that kept every multifamily in protein. I mean, we had eggs in the hard boiled eggs for snacks and My mother made egg salad. I mean, eggs was a staple like pasta. Now they're a luxury. Is there a correlation? Less people, less big families? Is there a reduction in the amount of people shopping? Is there a reduction in the amount of food we're keeping on hand as citizens? I don't understand exactly where the economy's going. And they just released that the Fed gave $800 million to another bank in Europe to stabilize it. Did you understand this? The Fed, which is not a part of the government, which is a private entity, took 800 million of American money and took it and put it in some bank to shore it up. Who made that decision? When did we elect those people to move $800 million of our money without telling us? As an afterthought. Some reporter reported it and they had to say, yeah, we did it. I don't get it. You understand? 19 medals of freedom were given out. One went to Hillary Clinton, a presidential medal of freedom, the highest civilian honor that any president can give. Gave one of these medals to Hillary Clinton, the murderer of Benghazi. Gave one to George Soros. How in the hell can the biggest divider, the biggest financer of the woke culture, how did that man get a gold medal from the president? I don't know. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. You just help me because, once again, you remember I'm 73 and a lot of stuff gets by me because I'm just, not as quick as I used to be. But when I look at the reports coming out of Europe, because I don't watch the stuff out of America, I watch the raw footage of foreign news entities that come to America and report. It seems to be more accurate and more to the point than American broadcasting. And once again, I don't believe everything they say. I take it with a grain of salt, like you should everything in this world. Should just, shouldn't react to anything that happens, but you should actually know what other people are saying. It's just so that you're a well-rounded person. You're a person that doesn't rely on one information source because you don't know how biased they are, right? And it could be a good bias. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad bias. Bias, you know. One of the things I want to talk about today is the farm situation. What is going on with the farm situation? We have HOAs that have bought up farms and put, say, a dozen McMansions on them. And now they file a suit against the farmers to put them out of business because of the noise of the tractors and smell of the animals. And the farmer was there before. You just bought another farm. You put all these houses on it, and now you're going to. People, do you not understand? No farmers, no food. How many people have I asked this question to? Where does your food come in? The first thing that comes out of their mouth is the grocery store. A little bit funny when somebody tells you that the food comes from a store. Well, I guess from their point of view, it's true. How did it get to the store? Well, it ain't from the farmers. It's the middleman. They come in and buy up lots and then put them in warehouses and then jack the prices up, and the stores buy it and they take it over to them and drop it off. And the store puts a minimal, you know, profit margin on it. I wouldn't want to own a grocery store. I wouldn't want to own a restaurant. Profit margin's not there anymore. Scary. It's very scary. We are being paid, get this, not to run our tractors and anything that uses diesel fuel. They'll give you a check so you don't run your tractor and cut the carbon. This is my hand to God. You can get a check from the government if you reduce your operational time on your equipment by 20%. In other words, you got to report the number of hours that are on your machines. We don't go by miles, we go by hours. So if you got 100 hours on your machine and they say, all right, here's a check for 20%, you got to cut back. So you have to report 80 hours on that machine for the next year because you need that 20%. And God forbid you lie and they come around and they find out that, they look at the hours of use and it's not correct. The fines involved are astronomical. So you better be truthful. And they do send people out. Where they get these people from, I don't know. They don't even know how to climb on a tractor, let alone get in the cab and look at it, you know, turn the switch and and light up the computer and find out how many hours were actually run. I mean, the last few people that have come out, you know, Farm Bureau people were straight out of college, interns with associate degrees in, I don't know, flower arranging. There's a bad state going on with these corporate farms too. I've never heard of a small farm having a contamination of salmonella or you know, whatever a contagious disease is carried. You know why? Because we don't shit in our fields. I mean, you got migrant workers now who have no idea what they were doing. Years ago, people would fill up school buses and take them from farm to farm, and they were treated well. They were given places to live. Most of them were little cabins or old Quonset huts, and they were fed and they had access to water and schooling and for their kids and they had a work ethic. Now these people don't care about anything. I've seen some fields that were supposed to be harvested and they probably harvest about 40% of the total product that's there. One, because the farmer's not running the show anymore. The corporates, you got some manager, he couldn't give a shit less what his production level was. The farm owner, the farm supervisor, who might have 6 farms on him, he cares about production. But what the hell's the manager care? I planted it, I harvested it, I'm out. No vested interest. No vested interest. Raw milk. Raw milk, we've been drinking this since we came to America. Before America, when we were getting in Europe, raw milk handled correctly is very good for you. It has all the vitamins and nutrition that you need. And I believe it has a sweeter, thicker taste. But people have demanded that we purify this, pasteurize it, take it up to 142 degrees, rapid cool it, kick out half the great stuff that's in it because you overheated it, bottle it in a sanitary facility, ship it off to the store, and they step on it. And when I mean step on it, they mean the price increases like fourfold from what it costs a dairy farmer to put it in the truck. So who's getting that money? It sure isn't the farmer. And they have contaminated milk. How is that possible? And now they're saying that the raw milk is contaminated. Well, if it got contaminated somewhere in the body of the processing plant, it isn't coming out of the cow contaminated. It's not going into the milking systems contaminated. It doesn't go into the sterile trucks contaminated. It's contaminated somewhere where they're bottling it or packaging it. And that's because these mega investment corporations have bought all these dairies and processing plants. And the people working there are just employees. They have no vested interest in it. They work 40 hours a week and they get a paycheck and they go home. So what if the equipment wasn't cleaned correctly? 90 years of boar's head meat. 90 years. Nobody ever got sick. All of a sudden now, nobody wants to buy boar's head because people were getting sick. So boar's head was bought about 4 years ago from a private equity firm, and now you see, probably all the boar's head people are gone, and all the bean counters are in there, and now we have contaminated meat. What's going on? I mean, I can ask what's going on over and over and over again because I truly do not know. Is there nobody out there complaining about the quality of your food? That if you want a 1 pound ribeye steak from your local butcher, if you have a local butcher, is going to be over $20 a pound. You want to save $2, go to Walmart and buy that piece of tough rawhide that they sell as a steak. Something is drastically changing and it's wrong. It's changing in the wrong direction. All right, let's give a little commercial break here for St. Jude. Man, oh man, their new commercial. You got to see it. It's really cute. The kids on the commercial are great. That new spokesman they have gets to the point, very sincere in her speech. Please like, subscribe, send some dinero to St. Jude. Good people doing good things. And secondly, let's talk about aortic hope. God, I'm jonesing. Over the holidays, they kind of like took a vacation or something here. I want my daily dose of aortic hope back. I was exercising earlier with how do you say that, Josh? Quijon? Something like that.
It's Qigong. That's Qigong with Kevin Songer.
Well, he comes on at 12:30 on Sunday, and it's my opportunity to. If I've missed a workout day, I usually try to use him for a workout, and you can modify his workout and do it even in a chair or on a bed. I mean, the guy is super, and I know he talks about chi and everything, and that kind of turns people off, but it's Tai Chi as far as I'm concerned. It's the same methodology of Tai Chi, and I enjoy Tai Chi since the 70s. It's a nice movement. It's slow. It stretches your body out. It has meaning. The teacup ceremony, the fighting ceremony. Tai Chi is a wonderful exercise program, especially for older people. And this Qigong is similar to that without all it's a smoother, shorter movement than anything else. And I find that very well accustomed to my body. And what I also like is he shows you, he talks you through it, and then he goes on to the next thing. So it's up for you to carry out a number of these sequences. So that kind of gets the show moving, and I get a lot of information in a short period of time, which I like. So aortic hope, subscribe, like, send them some jingle. These people are survivors of aortic disease, helping other survivors. And I'm glad they're coming back because, like I said, hate Jones all week long. Anyway, let's get back on subject here. We have people right now so frustrated that if you look at some of the posts in just the last 3 days, I don't want you to go back any further than 3 days. Go back 3 days and see the anger and the vitriol that people are putting out. They are upset. Biden is funding everything that didn't get passed by Congress. I mean, he just took all those funding issues and he's just executive ordering funding. The only saving grace is the money may not be dispersed until after Trump gets in, so maybe he can stop it. But this is crazy. What is Biden doing? Or Biden's handlers, Hillary and Barack and George Soros and whomever else is sitting in the anteroom where Bill Clinton got his blowjob, telling Biden what to do. What are they doing? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this last 20 days to totally run havoc through the American people? And I don't even care about anything. I'm just talking about spending my dollars. You got Biden giving it away. Now you got the Fed giving away money. What are these Congress people doing? Half of them haven't shown up for anything since Trump won. That's crazy. I read one thing. I don't know if it's true. This is not, don't take it and run with it. This is something I have to go down the rabbit hole. But like 40% of the people that work in the federal bureaucracy cannot be accounted for, have not been in work for at least since 2015. Now, people, I'm not an internet genius. Anybody will tell you I'm probably still walking and crawling in this issue. But I know if you're working from home, you have to be able to contact the necessities of doing your work. So if you're working from home, you're doing something on the computer, right? If where you work does not have outside computer access, how are you working? If you don't have access to the email system from outside while you're sitting home, how are you working? I don't get it. I mean, there are like the IRS does not have an outside entity. It's a contractor that they contract with to process all these emails and requests and things like that. But the real people, the people that make the decision, and I'm talking about the bureaucracy of the IRS, they use Google, Gmail. Seriously, guys? The IRS uses Gmail? When I read that about 1 o'clock in the morning. I was kind of, falling asleep or even falling asleep. That woke me right up. I went downstairs, got a cup of coffee, came back up, and re developed my interest in that, and I went down the rabbit hole on it. So let's just take one incident of the IRS. If you can't find 40% of your people, if you send out a mass email and say you have 24 hours to contact us and only 60% get back to you, there's a problem, guys. There's a major problem. Who have we been paying to do what and for how long? That's going to be an interesting conversation. I'd like to be on that one. Once again, people have taken advantage of the situation that other people are not managing. The head of these departments are not watching, they don't care, so their employees don't care. And we've got this situation where we're putting out all this money for this management team, and that's what they are. The bureaucracy is a management team who aren't managing, who may not even exist. And if they do exist, they don't do anything. They just go, it's like Elon Musk going into, Twitter and saying, what is it? I don't understand. Why do we have 10 people here and only 2 working? And he proceeded to fire 80% of the people At Twitter, rename it X, and it's working fine, if not better. How does that work? Now, let's just take that example and switch it over to the government. If you walked into any entity, let's pick on the Department of Education. If your edicts are generally hated, for lack of a better word, that comes out of your department by the majority of the public, maybe you're not in touch with the public that you're supposed to be working for. I'm talking about the Department of Education, who does nothing but spend money and doesn't improve anything. Have they looked at anything and said, this is a better way to do it? You know, I see some of these charter schools, and then the whole school is going to either a 4-year college or the military or in advanced military status or into trades where they're going in and, you know, they're well trained and well versed. And they're doing it for 2/3 of the cost of regular schools. How is that possible? How is this private entity posting more success with their students than your school system, your government approved school system? Got to think about these things, people. You have to understand that, this is 2025. We've been getting beat up since the 80s. Everything's been increasing, going crazy. I don't know if you're old enough or you're whatever, but 2008 was a terrible time in America. We had the recession, they blew up the housing market. They, they took 750,000 vehicles off the, you know, roads because they didn't meet EPA standards. So they paid you to trade in, if you traded in that year, the years, I think it was 2000 and below, if you traded in a vehicle, then, they gave you so much money towards it. And then they crushed them. They didn't resell them into the market because they wanted them out of the market to get rid of the carbon footprint. But by doing that, they made a shortage of vehicles, and what happened? The prices went up. So it added in 2008, 2009, 2010. It added to the pain. These are people that we pay to make decisions for us, and they make poor decisions. Right now, we're making poor decisions. We're spending money like a drunken sailor in San Diego. And when you call up the agency and ask for some help, there's nobody available. Write a letter, write an email. But if you write an email, it might not be read. So write a letter in snail mail. Scary, huh? Government.org. Biggest waste of taxpayer money. You click on half a dozen of those things, and only 2 are going to work. The rest say, oops, something missing or couldn't complete because of lack of a link or something. Believe me, there's enough evidence out there to make a good case that something is very, very wrong on the edge of fraud. And that's what this is. If you're collecting a paycheck every 2 weeks from the federal government and you don't do anything, you're stealing. You are out and out stealing from the federal government, and you should be prosecuted. Now, Elon and Shibami, they're giving you an out. They're saying retire, go away. We'll pay you to go away, or we'll give you your pension or whatever it is, but just go away. I'd like to see those numbers. How many people have retired since Trump got elected? That would be an interesting number, wouldn't it? But they don't know that number, right? There's this website you can see the changes in the number of people, like at the Pentagon. And in the columns it says fired, quit, retired, transferred to another department. And I think the last one is miscellaneous. These people obviously just, the aliens came down and took them away. And it's not only for the Pentagon. You can do any on that website. You can do it all, but it's all lies. Everything that's on that website is some clerk pumping in numbers. Do you know how many people are in our military? Like 1.8 million, and then civilian contractors on top of that. They did not make the seventh audit. That means that they could not justify enough of the money that they received to complete the audit. So that's somewhere around 40%. They couldn't find 40% of where the money went. Meanwhile, like down in Scranton where they make shells, they're going 24/7, pumping out, shells for cannons and 105s and uh, tanks and, oh God, what else? Artillery pieces. They even pump out for, rifles and pistols and everything because it's, that's the type of manufacturing it is. And it has been this way since the Vietnam War. Even during the Gulf War, they only worked 2 shifts. Now they're working 3. And where are all these bullets and bombs and shells going? That's an interesting thing. What's the percentage going overseas, and what's the percentage going back into our stocks? Because remember, everything that Ukraine got by the way of equipment came out of our stocks, either here or in Germany that's pre-positioned. So when you see these long trains coming through your town and they have tanks on them or Humvees or personnel carriers or these boxes that say explosives on it, I doubt if they're going to military bases here. I believe they're going to the East Coast, being put on boats and being sent to Europe. I think Biden believes that if he keeps the fight in Europe, he doesn't have to worry about it coming to America. Wrong. As we see, people who don't like America are coming through with the alien rush. They're coming through with the migrants just like everybody else. And they're so bold that they're not even Spanish migrants now. They're from Africa, from Haiti, from Belarus, from the Republic of Czechoslovakia, Russia, China. They make no bones about it. We're not even paying attention to the northern border. How many people are coming across there? Because a lot of the northern border is just a concrete monument in the ground, and they mow 50 feet on either side of it. That's the border up here in New York. We have miles and miles and miles of shoreline on the St. Lawrence River. One side of the river is Canada, and one side of the river is America. You can go out fishing in Canada, come to America, have lunch, gas up, and go back to Canada, or the reverse, and nobody's even going to bother you because there's no interdiction in St. Lawrence. I mean, there's a few Coast Guard stations, but nothing like they have on the East or West Coast or around Florida, and nobody's watching it. I mean, my cousin Joe posted a picture of people coming across in Vermont. It cracks me up. We've known people have come across in Vermont for years. I know you've forgotten all this, but 9/11, they came across from Canada into Maine, into Jackman, Maine. And here's a little story that will blow your mind. The first person they met, they went into a grocery store in Jackman, Maine, not Jackson, Maine, Jackman, Maine. the guy was a Gulf War veteran. When he saw him, he started speaking whatever, one of the languages I think starts with a P. He said the look on their face was they were totally amazed that they were out in the middle of this wilderness in Maine. I think Jackman, Maine, total population of a couple of hundred, and somebody's talking to them in their language. Pushab. Is it? No, not Pushab. I'll think about which language it was. But the first person they meet speaking to them in their language, they must have shit their knickers. But they went on to destroy the World Trade Centers, the towers. You think that's not happening now? I believe it is. How did this 12-year veteran, decorated veteran, get to be an ISIS sympathizer who talked about killing his family, but it would wreck his greater good if he killed his family? It would confuse the issue. So he had to stay focused. How did both, how did both the guy who went down to New Orleans and the guy who went to blow up the Tesla truck happen to be from the same army base? Happen to be going to the same PSYOP schools? Happen to, you know, go through the same personal trauma of divorce and family and all that? Are we getting so good that we can manipulate the minds and the ability of people to think and reason? Where's the two snipers? The one that shot the ear off and the one that couldn't get a shot off. They're gone. They're in some black hole the federal government's holding them in. Or they're in another country because they did exactly what the federal government asked them to do. Isn't that even more scary? When you think of change in America, you think of progress. Right now, we're not in progress. We're in what I always say a manipulation of the greatest scale that you've ever seen. And the American government has been manipulating the American people for many years. But this is so blatant and so out there that anybody that doesn't recognize just how much this government is trying to manipulate the people, you're not paying attention. You're restricting your food. You understand that? A weapon against the populace is food. When children go hungry, when your wife is hungry and you don't have food, you will act out in a way to protect those people. Good or bad, right or wrong, you as a man or the head of the household, if it's a woman, will do anything to get your kids food, get your spouse food, whatever. When medicine is getting to the point where the insurance companies are saying they're not paying for things, you know this is out of control. When something in Europe that costs $140 costs $1,200 here in America, that is blatant. You can't sweep that underneath the rug. You have to understand that this is a manipulation. They are pushing you so hard and so far. Look at what happened with the pandemic. Everybody went into lockstep. Well, 60% of the country went into lockstep, took the vaccinations, wore the mask, didn't go anywhere for a year and a half. They shut everything down. But then the people came back with a roar and said, we don't want this. And they voted Trump in. They looked at Biden as Papa, who was going to take care of everything. And he went into office and made it worse. I don't know. I'm trying to get across to you that this is a very dangerous time. What do we have? 10 days left before Trump gets in? Guys, there's a lot of damage in 10 days. He can start a war in 10 days. And by me saying he can start a war, the puppeteers behind him, Hillary and Obama and the Clintons, all the people that manipulate, uh, bottomless Joe, I believe he's, got a hand up his ass and they're talking for him. We are not only being manipulated, but we're being forced into different situations that are counterproductive, to say the least, manipulative every day, but dangerous, very dangerous. We're on the brink of not being able to pay our bills. We are in the brink of not being able to pay our bills. We're going to lose the financial market. All we need is somebody, like Elon and a couple other trillionaires to get together, digitize the currency, and you're gone. Everything that you make and go into the digital currency market will be controlled by whoever controls that market. There won't be any more bad credit, but you won't be able to the freedom that you spend the money the way you want to. They'll put you on a budget. So instead of going to the movies twice a month, maybe you only go once because that's all they figure out you can afford. Don't be calling DoorDash. Too expensive. We'll send food to you and you cook it. Oh, your electric bill is too high. So you need to cut back 10% of your electric use. Next month, you don't cut back to 10%, they cut it back. Figure out how to pay that 10% of the bill. Take it from someplace else. Take it from your kid's underwear drawer. This week they go commando. You think that's funny? You think that's not going to happen? Look around you, people. We are in the greatest change of the last, let's see, let's do from the 90s. So 30 years. In the last 30 years, we are in a flux of change. It can go very badly, very quickly, or it can moderate itself out. And when I say moderate itself out, it can go bad very quickly, but it's not going to get out very quickly. I mean, Trump is on the right road. He's got the right people, I believe. Some of them are a little shady on him. I'm going to watch him real close. But he's on the right direction to bring back our country, to make the rules and laws and functioning of government back to the state, to cut back on the federal government, to rein in the budget. Do you understand? If we weren't involved in all these little freaking wars, Egypt, the Middle East, Jordan, Syria, African countries, uh, Ukraine, Taiwan. If we weren't involved in all this shit, the money that we would have surplus in the budget, if we just said to everybody for the next 3 years, you're on your own, we've got to take care of our business, we've got to take care of our country, and for 3 years, you got to take care of your country. We don't want any more from you, we don't want any less, but you have to be self sufficient. There are more than 18 countries that don't function unless the American money comes in there in the way of funding. 18 countries that totally rely on their economic survival by the grace of the American people. Where we cannot afford that anymore. We need to fix. It's like having a train with a broken engine. Well, America is the engine and it's damn near shut down. We need to shut it down. We need to pull it apart. We need to clean it up, put it back together again, and get it running good. And if that means getting rid of 80% of the government people, I'm sorry, but you got to go. You either find another job, you retire, whatever. Go to a private contractor because you're so good. Or maybe we can get rid of 20% because they don't exist. We do not need to be making interceptor missiles for Israel and Ukraine. We do not need to be sending over jets. Germany has jets, Poland, France, England, Spain, Italy. That's a European problem. Why is not the European states stepping up? There's more Australians fighting in Ukraine than there is EU people. Let me say that again. There's more Australians fighting in Europe than Europeans. That's crazy. Putin is about broke. He's run out of equipment to the point where he's getting tanks from North Korea that are closer to World War I tanks than they are modern tanks. They showed a North Korean soldier admiring 5 Kalashnikov machine guns that were welded to a frame, and they all fire at once. They put a bar through the trigger, squeeze it, and he thought that was a modern intervention in warfare. People, we need to collapse this, and by collapse it, I mean start from the most outer coast, whether it's Thailand or Germany or Sweden, wherever. Start collapsing down. Collapsing down, collapsing down to the point where we're taking care of America first. Not the EU, not Thailand, not Vietnam, not any of these other places, South America, we're pouring money into. It's a hole. It's been a hole for 30 years. It's going to continue to be a hole. And when you give somebody something, even money for nothing, it represents nothing. It has no value. Whether you're giving them a $10 bill or a $10 million tank, if you give it to them, if they don't have to work for it or pay for it, it doesn't mean anything. More Ukraine supplies are being sold on the black market than being used in the fight. Where are all these cash payments going? I mean, is the president of Ukraine sitting on, like Saddam Hussein, on gold thrones and have enough gold in his basement that it took a Marine outfit more than 2 weeks to pull all the gold out of his castle? Is that what we're dealing with in Ukraine? He just shut off. He failed to negotiate the new contract for the gas that comes out of Russia in a pipeline that goes through Ukraine to the rest of Europe. So that means Russia shut that pipeline off. Well, it's only 1/6, but that's 1/6 of the supply of gas to all of Europe. And the president of Ukraine shut this down by not negotiating a new deal. And Russia shut it down, and that's 1/6 of the revenue gone when Russia needs it more than ever. See the insanity? It's not only in America, it's everywhere. You have Muslims rioting in London, and Ireland and Scotland, Spain, France, rioting for an Islamic state in those countries. They fled an Islamic state, supposedly the Middle East, to these other countries because of the harsh and terrible treatment by these Islamic administrations and government. And then they go into these other countries and then they want to demand to do the exact same thing. Sharia law, disrespecting women, selling children. They want Sharia law. Do you know how tight? Can you imagine every English woman walking around in a burqa? There's one imam that says if they're not Muslim, it's okay to rape them and murder them because they're infidels and they don't matter. I'd like to meet him. I think somehow to transport him back to the 70s, have him walk down an alley between two buildings, have to catch a brick with his teeth. Sometimes I was taught you have to stand up. You have to be the man. You have to make the hard decisions. And sometimes the hard decisions, people get hurt. But you didn't put them in that situation. They put themselves in that situation. When they become a detriment to you, your family, and let's expand it, your neighborhood, your city, your town, your village, your state, your government, your uh, the world you live in, you take it out. If polio was coming back, say you had 1,000 kids get polio all of a sudden, they'd be in here with the shots and everything, cleaning materials and stuff to protect us, right? Well, when you got jihadists running around America, mowing people down with pickup trucks. Now, listen to me, people. He didn't do it with a gun. He had a gun and he shot two people, but I'm talking about the main weapon he had was a Ford pickup truck. Can you imagine if the guy with the uh, electric truck had driven that through that plate glass window into the lobby of that hotel and blew that up? First off, if you're not in the basement, you're not getting out because if he drove it into the lobby, there's only 4 elevators in that lobby, and every one of them would have caught fire. And once they catch fire, you can't use the stairwells anymore because the stairwells superheat and they become ovens. Understand how that works? That's what the people at the World Trade Center found out. That you didn't have to have fire right there. There was fire all around the fire escape. The fire escape became an oven and it incinerated people. They found piles of dust who were people. They were incinerated. They were cremated by strategically taking out the metal supports of that building. He could have done the same thing. All he had to do was drive through is plate glass window. There's the lobby stairs and lobby desk, and on either side are like seating areas, and then the 4 elevators behind them. All you had to do is hit the lobby desk, blow it up, set the first floor on fire. You'll have people parachuting out the 10th floor, just like you had in 9/11. Think, people. Think. You don't need a gun. How many improvised explosives was this guy carrying? How much damage could he have done if he planned better? Who knows? It's one of those curiosities that makes me say, hmm, why didn't this happen? Why did the guy who shot the executive in the back of the head have so much trouble with that gun? Well, it comes out now because the gun was manufactured on a 3D printer. So whoever did it didn't understand that after it's manufactured, you got to take a file and clean it up. And then you have to take emery cloth and clean that up. And then it has to be well oiled. And then you have to cycle rounds through it. So if anything warps out of position, you'll find out about it before you have to physically use it for something important. So that's why this guy's gun jammed. But when a gun jams on a civilian, 90% of the time they're looking at it, blinking their eyes, going, "What do I do? Is this going to blow up in my hand?" When it jams or a misfeed. This guy coolly and calculated just kept pumping through rounds until he got one that seated perfectly and took a second shot. And then he escaped from the New York PD and all these other people for 5 days. And you're telling me a McDonald's manager, assistant manager, caught him? Something's very wrong here. You know, whoever's playing this game, who's manipulating this guy, who put this together, is not the sharpest tack in the box. All right, I've been spitting out for an hour here, telling you what's wrong. I told you what you have to do. You have to hold everybody accountable, including yourself. You need to make the change. You need to do better and be better in this new year of 2025. If not, we're just going to have the same old shit. Trump will be in office for 4 years and get stalled and backlogged and everything. And then in 4 years from now, we'll have another Democrat who will dig the hole deeper. An old thing my parents and my uncles would say: if somebody's digging a hole, take the shovel out of his hand. You know, intercede and talk to them. You know, don't leave a person who's obviously frustrated and with anxiety and thoughts of that hurting people should not be so alone in this society that we can't touch them and touch them in their heart and their value system. If you're saying that the breakdown of society is so great that we have to deal with these people on an individual basis, we've lost the war. We need to make America a better place to live, where everybody's inclusive, not only the tens and the richest people in the world, but the people who matter, the people who do the day-to-day labor, who are true Americans, that just want to have a house and a car and raise their families. It's a shame people can't even afford two people working and they can't afford to live. Two people working can't afford to live. Well, I hate to leave you on a Debbie Downer, but this is Tom Noetner. I am the conversationalist. Like, subscribe, say hello, share it, but most of all, be Americans. And in 2005, be better, do better. I'm out.